Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Bad Fanfiction Night. I am your host, Remy McNeil. Joining me, as always, is the wonderful Twilight Guardian.
Hello.
And, of course, all the wonderful people here in the Tundra that you can join for $1 or more to my Patreon or by becoming a member of the channel. I don't normally introduce them, but I realize I probably should, considering they're, in effect, the other co-hosts of this.
Hi, everyone.
If just mildly intrusive ones from time to time. Not naming any names, all of you.
I resent that.
Including myself.
At one point or another.
But yes, today we are continuing our deep dive through SHADIVERSITY's very own Shadow of the Conqueror. In the last one, we had a kind of a side story sort of thing where he sat down for dinner with a family of matron practicing religious types that were his criticism of Catholicism, apparently. And all the women were very buxom and all very much into him. And he was annoyed by that. And it was very, very, my edgy OC doesn't want the sex, but he's going to have all the sexual attention energy.
Oh boy, he better
isekai
not.
Protagonist of him.
He better not.
I feel like that's an insult to isekai protagonists.
Oh yeah, no, you're right. It is.
He also does. Although although just to point out, he better not. Listen to the intrusive voices that tell him to like plow, because that man is on the list, the sex offender list.
Yeah, he stated so himself.
What was the exact words again?
It's on the list, brother. He made the list.
Yes, he literally did.
Yeah.
But yes, that was basically just a little side moment for him to kind of get it back on his feet and heading back towards civilization, where he still doesn't really have a clear goal in mind other than to undo the injustices he's committed. Mind you, we still don't know what it was exactly that frickin' turned him remorseful over all the horrible things he did, and we're not entirely sure he's even remorseful about that because he keeps saying how things were better when he was in charge. So, we're kind of here or there when it comes down to whether or not this guy's actually changed worth a damn.
One day a bird pooped on him and he took it as a sign.
Oh no! The truth that hates! Birdman, I've come to bargain!
Oh no! I'm Doctor Strange.
Everyone, panic!
On me yesterday, actually.
No one gets pooped on without having been a bad person. No one.
Also, chapter 4. That Twinkie is a big ass one because it's time to eat filler.
Yes.
Oh, lovely.
But just a catch up here. We have one super chat from Zachary Eicher. I hope it goes well. I'm worried about Anthony. Anthony. Gramuglia? That Anthony? It's the only one that comes to mind. He was fine the last time I checked.
Last time I checked.
We haven't been updated with him in a while, but
yeah, we got
he's kind of going through some shit.
And then Shark Jumping Walrus says, got to go to bed soon, but I want to wish you luck. Thank you. We're going to need it. Absolutely. But yeah, we're going to get into this. When I don't know what's going on with Ant, and as much as I would like to learn, we have other things we need to take care of today, namely reading this. But I'll probably look into that after the stream.
Nah, fuck that. We need to check in on the homie.
Yeah, that takes us here.
Yeah. So, we're going to be looking at what I surprisingly might be rare for this. We might be able to cover 2 chapters today because they're both relatively short.
The gasp.
Oh no, double dose of cringe.
Gotta spend a little less this time. I got robbed of 1,500 as soon as I got paid because of bills. Oh!
Ouch.
Damn, man. I feel worse for your wallet. You don't need to spend money on if you need to save your money, like always
Go ahead
remember.
and save.
Celtic, you should be giving him money.
Bruh, the bank, bruh.
Look,
like,
I'm not
you
that
need
generous.
all the money.
I'm all for people keeping their money, but my money stays in my pocket.
As is, our.
You're
It's like,
just
damn,
Ruel.
That's crazy.
Like,
I
his
got
money
a
gotta
little
stay
bit
in
of
that-
Enotroff DNA. I'm not gonna lie about that.
Oh wait, shit! It's the IRS. The IRS is like coming knocking.
So what you're saying is, if we play Wakfu together, you're playing Enotroff.
No, I'm a Zeller with a little bit of Enotroff, which actually might be worse because I hoard time. Random Fandom says I summon Indominic Rex.
Ooh.
Is that a play on Indominus Rex?
And so he is summoned. All
Where
right.
am I? Who are you? How do
Hello. Apparently, you were just summoned and you appeared. Okay then.
But
that
yes.
work?
I'll take secretly.
Oh,
got
yes,
nah, I
it
still
did.
had 2.8k after. I'm fine. Dude, you don't have to keep. All right, I'll take your word for it, but it's okay. Thank you.
You
Thank
challenge
so
the
much.
Joe that hates every single time, Celtic, and every single time he destroys you.
I feel guilty because I feel like I don't meet up to the amount of money I'm getting from him. I feel like we're not.
There's a lot of pressure on him right now.
I'm
Oh my
not
God.
that entertaining.
All right,
Financial
Celtic. I want you to say. Celtic, say that again, except like in the form of like I don't know, some like slice of life anime.
If I ever get back into MMO, I'm playing Foggernaut or Eliotrope. I mean, Eliotropes are freaking cool. Foggernauts are pretty cool too, actually. Got the mech thing going on.
I love Saditas.
Hey, Dominic, did you read this book once?
Celtic,
Oh,
who
yeah.
would win, Shad or the Unicorns?
Unicorn.
Unicorn.
Unicorns.
No, because they both have levels of bullshit that are really hard to challenge.
I got an idea. One
Oh,
Shad
good
versus
point.
100 unicorns.
Joey Spider.
Shad versus 100.
Unicorns?
Oh yeah, we are getting one dead Aussie.
Oh, all right.
damn.
Well, yes, but if we want to get through the 2 chapters, we got to start soon. So, everyone remember the rules. We love your commentary, critique, quips, and barbs, but we do got to keep on a nice, tight schedule. So, if a comment chain seems to has ended at a nice point, and you're just struggling to get something out, if it seems like the conversation has died, just let it die. It's okay.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Also,
And-
you shouldn't comment chain in the first place. Preferably.
Preferably.
Oh,
But yes, and also remember that I and Twilight are the priority speakers. If we are talking, we expect you to quiet down, and we will tell you to quiet down. This just naturally happens, so don't feel too bad. Just be sure to tune it down. So let's get into this. Chapter 5. Yeah, the text chat does exist for a reason. Chapter 5. I fought in countless battles through the 4th night. Worse, I saw countless companions and friends become shade themselves, my parents included, whom I was forced to kill. Very tragic, you see. Yes, I killed my parents with my own sword, though in truth it was the shade that killed them. The monsters I destroyed only had the faintest resemblance to my parents. Still, it didn't make the task any easier. Oh, the Joe That Hates says, I get to show the Grim Models in Y'all's Discord and listen to terrible fanfiction when it's not Shad's snorefest of writing. You're doing fine. Keep up the good work. Last dono gotta sleep. Oh, good night, Joe. Hopefully this stream
Take
doesn't
care.
get taken down like the freaking One Piece one, which I still need to check on. It should be back, but I don't think it is yet.
Shad comes from the top rope, ready to like stab you with a copyright claim.
Hammer is in.
He comes from the top rope and just falls all the way down because he's nowhere near as athletic as he thinks he is.
A people's elbow.
Anyway,
The people's flop.
Dalen hadn't walked far from the farmstead before he heard footsteps. He turned to see Luciana's son running towards him. Is something wrong? Dalen asked. What? No, the large boy said. I'm coming with you. What? Lighten, you're not. You don't own the road. Boy, it's your bedtime. Go back to your mother. Who you calling boy? You look younger than me. No, I do not, boy. Now piss off. The lad drew his sword on Dalen. You watch your tongue. Put that away before you hurt yourself. You're disrespecting me and the hospitality of my mother has shown you. No, letting you run away would be disrespecting your mother. Letting you run away would be disrespecting your mother, you ungrateful little twat. Gaiden raised the leg facing Dalen, and he stomped it down in a dueling pose, the Frasian way to challenge. Oh, let's end, Dalen said tiredly. Draw your sword! Fight me! No, that might ruffle my shirt. That's it! Gaiden screamed and lunged at Dalen. A second later, maybe two, Gaiden lay on the ground with a bleeding lip, unarmed. Dalen held the boy's sword in hand, not even having drawn his own. He hadn't thought to use his new powers either, not that he needed them. He had already found that his fighting instincts were still keen when he had fought the Paradan, but now with his body as fit and as strong as it ever been, light, he was back to being full Grand High Master of the sword. Remember, there's this little story called Three Musketeers where the main protagonist happens to be sort of an amateur at sword fighting, and he has to kind of struggle his way through many different adventures and eventually gain the skills that would ultimately mark him as a master of the blade. How is Dark Canyon or something like that?
Two things, Celtic. I want you to understand something real quick. Are you insinuating that our main character, the Dalen, the Conqueror, has to struggle?
Preferably, yes.
He's a level 1 character and a level 1.
To the gulag with you, sir.
Celtic.
Mm-hmm.
Did someone say gulag? I'm the executioner.
There's the thought.
Found
That is-
Celtic in Wakfu.
Heretical
It's like
things to
where's
say.
all
Little
the orthopedics?
tofu. There's a lot of foos in Wakfu and dofus. They just like the foo. I guess maybe it's a French thing. What just happened? Gaiden said, dazed from his instantaneous defeat. You got what your light-blinded head deserved, Dalen said. As you challenged me to a duel and lost, I'm keeping your sword. Victor's right and all. It was the same type of sword as Dalen's, but in far better condition. Dalen threw the old sword to the boy's feet. Now go back to your mother. But she doesn't respect me. And when I saw that you're on your own, all free and being the same age, and also getting all of the bitches, I'm older than you can imagine.
Says man trying to hide his identity. I'm older than you can imagine, guys.
Yeah.
Also, didn't this kid come from matriology where, like, the mother is supposed to be so revered?
Yes.
Well, why would a kid raised in that feel this way, though?
Because he's an idiot?
Well, no, I could see, like, weirdly coming to the defense here. I could see growing up in a matriarchal society, having the respect of your mother would be very, very important, and feeling as if you were inadequate in some way. It's the same way that, like, some guys feel about their fathers and needing, daddy's love and approval. That sort of
thing. Okay, so follow up. Why would he want Dalen for this?
Because he's Dalen, dude.
Because obviously his mom was hot for Dalen.
Oh, so he's also hot for Dalen.
Oh.
Well, no, he wants to emulate Dalen so his mother will be hot for him. It's a weird Oedipus complex thing.
Oh man, you made it like 10 times weirder than I was going for. Good job.
Oh no.
Well played.
Oh, that one does think me. There's a good twi.
That's so cute.
It reminds me of the Fire and Water Girl.
Oh my gosh, that is cute.
It's so fluffy.
Also got some Paladin lore in the comments.
Gaiden flinched. You got me thinking, that's all, he said. I just want to come with you. No, you're right, he is hot for Dalen.
I fucking knew it.
Look, you want respect. You want to be a man. I get it. But for what I've seen, an immature snot like yourself doesn't deserve any respect. You don't demand respect. Dalen paused at that comment as a torrent of memories flashed before his eyes, memories where he had forced respect and obedience through violence and brutality. He was such a hypocrite. What right did he have to tell another how to live their life when he had lived his own so poorly? But the truth was the truth, and it condemned him as well as the actions of this whelp. I saw a glimmer. Holy shit!
Again.
I saw a glimmer right there.
I mean, I feel like that glimmer was buried immediately, but it was there.
It's buried under like 20 feet of mud.
Yeah, no,
We were
yeah.
so close to the diamond.
This needs like a deep, deep hose down to clean off, but it's there. I can see it.
It was
A power washing.
Glimmer of what?
I don't think power washing is enough.
You're supposed to earn respect, Dalen said, looking back to the boy. Through sweat, hard work, and decency, just like your father, who I've only known a grand total of a couple of hours. You want to be a man? Then fulfill the responsibilities you have to your family and obey your mother while you live under her roof. Trying to leave them like you have, probably without even a word, it's despicable, and proves you're no better than a worm.
What?
The worm's in the dirt. Then Popo.
You know,
Your parents are good people, and you should thank the light for that. Do as they say, you little snot, and maybe, just maybe, if the light is gracious, you'll become half as good as them. The large boy's lip quivered, and he tried to hold back tears. I'm sorry.
wow, he
not
is
a
a
single
bitch.
teenage boy would do this.
also,
I'm fairly certain the correct reaction would be, I don't like you, as soon as this happened.
I think
You got
Me
are we
personally-
actually doing the turned young but will have the attitude of his age nonsense? Not even the hint of the self-awareness of the change? So far, yes. So far, that has been the case.
I'm also just gonna say, like, no, like, this is just a terrible way to try to give someone life advice. Like, you don't respect a person just because they beat the shit out of you. Like, this isn't video game logic where you can just win arguments by being better at things.
You
See,
underestimate the
you
power
forget.
of the Gary Stew.
And you forget he really wanted to make a video game when he was writing this. I have no proof for this, by the way. It's just from what
Literally
I've
just
read.
Feels like a video game.
Apart from what's sitting directly in front of our eyes, yeah, you don't have any proof.
Now, as I said before, piss off! This time he did, thank the light. Dalen sighed to himself and shook his head. Kids. He turned and began walking down the road, but noticed off to the side that work had begun for clearing the ground for another field. Many trees lay toppled next to their sawn stumps, some having been dragged to the side of the budding paddock. A laborious process, especially if done without darkstone automation, of which Dalen saw no sign. I'll do good where I can, Dalen said to himself as he took off his coat, vest, and shirt. Bare to his waist, Dalen couldn't help but noticing that every scar he had ever received still remained, and having been a swordsman his whole life, there were a lot of them.
Why the fuck is he like stripping in like the middle of the road?
I think he's going to go
He's just-
help.
He's just randomly doing Good Samaritan for no reason.
In Joe's place, I shall use death by 1,000 donations. Oh no, your boy Neptune.
Oh no. No.
Your boy Neptune is out here going like, get ready,
Will
judgment
he
donation.
survive?
Oh no! Oh god, I'm getting paper cut by all these dollar bills.
At least I don't have to worry about
Charity.
paying for my plastic currency.
So I still possess the same body, Dalen said to himself. Just changed. He noticed that his body was as muscled as it had been in his 30s, not his teens. For some reason, the rules of this are getting more and more convoluted. Restored to its peak
Because
strength.
he needs to have the biggest, sexiest body that you have ever seen in a man.
Oh
This book is for men, by the way.
It's really not that
Dad
complicated.
bod is
too.
it?
Look, it's really not that complicated. It's whatever can make Dalen look the best is what he's gonna have.
Yeah, despite the fact that this guy has the personality of I don't know, a soggy potato.
Oh, that's an insult to
No, that's
potatoes.
just
That's,
respect
yeah,
for fucking
it really
potatoes.
is.
Yeah.
Okay, well, what would you go for?
damp sponge.
All right, thank you.
I was going with like a wet poop.
I'll go wet sand.
I just avoid using fecal matter as descriptive. So
That's fair.
Restored to its peak strength. Interesting. Folding his clothes on top of one another and placing them on a dry part of the ground, Dalen jumped the ditch that bordered the packed dirt road and onto the grassy field. Channeling all bonds to his strength, Dalen placed himself at the center of a mass of a fallen tree. Placed one hand over the trunk and under the other, and rolled the entire thing onto his shoulder, lifting it. It didn't feel heavy at all. He smiled giddily at his incredible power. He carried each felled tree from the field one by one. After that, he walked to the nearest stump and punched the grass next to it. Getting his hand under the stump, he pulled. Dalen ripped it up with his adjoining root system with ease. He carried the stump to the same pile as the trunks and repeated the process with each stump until the area was fully cleared. A water barrel sat next to the border of the field with some stools and an old fire pit, clearly placed there so Tygo could find drink while he was working in the fields. Dalen dunked his head in, drinking deeply, and also polluting the rest of the water so no one else can drink from it later. He then washed his dirty body, again polluting the water that's there. Retrieving his shirt and vest and coat, he walked topless for a time, letting the sun dry him off before dressing fully. The nearest village was a picturesque little thing nestled within thin woodland next to a small river. Walking by the homes and crossing a bridge, Dalen found the main road that led to the larger town, where he could find a coach to the nearest city. What was the point of that? Just to show off how incredibly strong he was?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jesus
That's
Christ,
literally
how is he
it.
gonna ever lose a fight?
Where's
Where's the
Plot
tension
wants
to it
to.
all?
I'm guessing this is very soon.
See,
Was it
here's the
fight?
thing. He's not.
To answer Overhypen's question,
so
yes, I think he
manly.
qualifies as a Gary Stu at this point.
At this point.
Yes.
Yes, for all we know, he could evolve beyond it. I do leave a grace period, but at this point, he's not escaping the black hole, and I don't see him at any point pulling out of it.
Oh no, that boy is stuck. He is stuck in limbo.
I mean, do you expect our Lord and Savior Dalen to actually lose? I would hope at some point, but I know that's not going to be easy for Shad to do.
Yeah, a man can dream that this
The real
dickhead can get.
antagonist of this book is Shad's ego.
Oh my god, that is so meta.
He is too egotistical.
Shadow of the ego.
It would be funny if it weren't so pathetic. Nah, what the hell? I'll laugh.
Okay. The nearest village. Walking by the homes and crossing a bridge, Dalen found the main road that led to the larger town, where he could find a coach to the nearest city. After an hour or so, Dalen found himself thinking about different applications of his new powers. There's clearly more they can do, he said, looking about. Luckily, no one was near. He didn't want people to know that he had these powers just yet, especially considering he wasn't an Archknight, and you were trying to keep a low profile to hide the fact that you're actually fantasy Hitler. Jesus Christ, man.
Can you not just keep a low profile, dude?
Bruh, how I say again, for the second time in a fanfic that we've covered, how the hell does someone have negative stealth?
No, you can have negative stealth. It's just...
He's literally putting on a neon
purposefully
jacket saying,
negative
I'm
stealth.
the a-hole, and no one's noticing because his
Oh,
precious little angel.
A jacket, you say?
like the one on the cover. All right. Posing as an Archon might be a good idea if anyone saw him with his powers, but Light, what would the Knights do when they learned about him? They'd probably force him to join so long as they never found out who he really was, which Dalen was already considering. If there was anyone who could teach him about the full extent and limitations of his powers, it was the Archknights. But Dalen would join when he wanted to. Walking to the side of the road, Dalen counted the attributes he had enhanced: strength, speed, mass, sight, hearing, healing, smell, and fortitude. Drawing his sword, Dalen sliced his thumb along the blade. It stung, of course, but pain was something Dalen had gotten very used to over his life. Stacking all the bonds to his body's ability to heal, the cut closed in a matter of seconds. fast, he said to himself. But will it be as fast with worse injuries? Dalen put up a sleeve of his jacket and shirt and drew the sword blade along his forearm, cutting all the way to the bone. He didn't hesitate or flinch at the pain. Edgelord! Jesus Christ!
Once again.
Also,
Who are you?
Also, trying to saw off your own arm in a public square.
Yeah, I'm just going to. I'm just going to repeat what Moopa said. That's impossible.
Just go to the friggin' forest and hide in there while you practice.
Buy
if you
a
don't want
room
anyone
at
to
an
find
inn.
you.
Don't do this in the fucking public.
Nah.
I know I already put this in the chat, but this is still pretty fitting.
Name Bloodedge the Griffin, age 16, gender male. Weapon Bloodedge, gets stronger with every kill. Attacks Blood Slash, Blood Slice, Blood Stab. Finisher Blood Decapitate. Personality doesn't get along, Quahog.
Oh, that's cute.
That's beautiful.
So adorable.
Oh my god.
We are totally
Celtic,
distracted.
you
here.
need to make this into plushie merch.
Oh, dude,
Yes!
I need to
More
make
sticker
a
merch.
normal Kelpie plush.
Both.
Sell it as a plushie, you'll make money.
God, despite this server's name, this no, the Tundra is absolutely cooking.
Your boy Neptune, witty comment.
The Chandra is
Holy shit, man.
soft as snow.
Fuck, he's got us, guys.
Yeah, we can't beat that. Like, it's too witty.
Dizzy
Damn.
Doom responded with clever response.
Twat, you're
It's
running
super
to Dairy
effective.
Queen in the middle of this?
Get
He's
some ice cream. I
He's an
mean,
emotional
I get it. I mean, makes sense to me. I don't know what you're on about.
We're 4 pages away from the end of the chapter.
I mean, I'll read if need
Okay,
be.
all right. She needs an emotional support blizzard.
Jeez.
Fanfic is making. You know what?
I need
Actually,
He's still listening, so she said, okay.
Anyway,
I agree, but I'm driving.
Oh.
she might have a point. I'm starting to want ice cream for this fucking fic.
I'm
Okay.
imagining she
Guys.
has one that she's like putting right next to
Guys.
one.
Let's get back to it, guys.
Guys,
Yugok says if he's got the body of a 30-year-old, why was he aged back to his teens? Why not just age back to 30? Because he needs to be young and virile.
Doesn't look really.
I honestly, I don't get it. Like, he should have just
Virile,
chosen
huh?
17 or 30 and either just live with trying to work up from 17 or being a 30-year-old. But I don't know why he tried to do both.
Or just meet
This
halfway
is a
and be
special
like
kind of
20.
midlife crisis.
Ice cream and wine.
Or just meet halfway and be
Just like
20.
that Zac Efron movie 17 again.
Blood flowed out, but as soon as he channeled light through his bonds to heal, the large wound closed after 3 seconds, leaving no scar at all. Oh,
Bullshit.
this is going to be very useful. I wonder if I could regrow a limb. He shook his head. It's probably not a good idea to test that. Yeah, it's probably not a good idea to test either of those.
I
Your boy
mean,
Neptune
we
sent
did ask
5
for him
gift
to test his
memberships.
powers last
Congratulations to the
chapter.
5 people that got caught in it. Teddy Bear Paladin got caught in it. Yay!
Woo!
Yeah!
Finally.
Everyone enjoyed the emotes.
Celtic, I will say, last chapter you did ask for him to test out his powers.
Yeah.
Ask and you shall receive.
Nameless, of course, Dalen won't struggle. Remember her Shad's reaction to the trailer for James Gunn's Superman?
Oh boy.
Oh yeah.
Dalen knew there had to be a limit to his healing ability, as he had seen Archons die. Light. He had killed one himself many years ago, indicating that Archons couldn't heal from decapitation. I wonder why.
Many things can't recover
Very
from
few can.
decapitation.
Wolverine can.
Dalen enhanced his scent.
And they
The
have the
first
same power
bond
as French
enhanced it to a
nobility.
huge level, far more than just double, and each subsequent bond seemed to double what previous enhancements had achieved, like we had before. With all 4 bonds channeling light into his scent, Dalen could smell the Darkstone-powered wagon bearing Kraggots and Turum beans had passed along the road 2 falls ago. There had been one person who had been driving the wagon who smelled of dirt, oil, and war-cotton clothes. Dalen could smell the man's clothes from 2 falls ago. There were also other scents, new ones that he had never smelled before, ones coming from himself. It smelled sweet, yet soft, and as he breathed, he focused on the scent. Dalen instinctively realized what it was. Emotion. Dalen was smelling his own emotions.
Oh my
You have
God.
no idea.
Dude, you have.
We do emotions smell like
If you
Skittles?
think it's bad now, just
You have-
wait.
No idea how long I've been waiting for you guys to read that sentence.
I mean, it's one step above him smelling his own farts and enjoying it.
No, I was going to say,
What's
like,
next?
he legitimately should, like, one, he should not be able to tell exactly what he is smelling from 2 days ago. Like, it should be indiscernible and should be a skill that he has to hone, trying to filter out what exactly he's smelling, because a hot take, smells don't linger that long, typically speaking. Like, unless...
No.
Are you implying that Dalen is not in fact perfect?
Yes. And
How
on
dare
top
you.
of that, like, you should be smelling not good things about yourself at all.
my God,
You should be
you-
smelling the worst of yourself that your brain blocks out if you're enhancing your smell sense, all right?
I'm imagining.
Oh, but
he
I
gets
mean-
flashbanged, except it's with scent.
Oh no, wait a second. Actually, if his smell is that enhanced, then he should be doubled over puking, or just like really queasy because he smelled someone taking a shit.
No, absolutely, he should be able to smell every single latrine in like a mile radius with this sensitivity.
So to give an example for this,
Ever smelt and double over because of it?
I have a question about the smelling emotions thing.
I'll shut
What
up.
kind of scent would you assign?
No, I wanna
would
hear
you
what
assign the
Einarson
different
had to say.
emotions?
No. To give an example of someone who has a very sensitive sense of everything and being thrown into a bunch of different things, I will give an example that Zero will know. There are several versions of Brainiac that when he's introduced to the biosphere of Earth, all of the new sensations that he hasn't gone through but he is hyper aware of literally make his brain explode.
No, I got that. I got that.
To put some other examples on this too, the most well-known character that everyone will know, Daredevil, with his sense of smell, the most he smells back to is like 30 minutes ago of what people have eaten or what they did, like they washed their face, and that's about what he
reasonable.
knows.
Yeah.
Like, and this is the guy who can like feel the indents of ink on paper.
Twy, how dare you? Stop encouraging
I remember.
that.
Yes, good. Keep talking.
I remember there was a Superman comic where Superman was high as shit, and then he like smelled brownies in North Dakota in the JLA watchtower in space.
Correct. Well, that's because Superman is just a little boy in a sleeve red cape sometimes, but that's why we love him.
Izanagi
Oh,
says, Galen, why can't you be normal? God. He's officially also reached Sparrow Talent, second Talon, which congratulations on that, Isa.
Welcome to the second man.
Your boy Neptune says, I'm playing War Thunder and starting now, I'll donate every time I die without getting a kill. Oh, boy.
Also, you missed Saber Paladin's some more.
You might have some more.
Oh,
More
here we go.
paper cuts inbound.
You actually play War Thunder?
But how can I
All
know
right.
that? Yet I do. That smell is curious amazement. These powers, it's like they also give me new instincts.
Uh-huh.
Well, it's one more sentence, and I'm already just fucking floored.
My God, can we get past the
smack this guy,
amazement
please?
with his powers? We've been over this
When we
like
stop
I don't know,
adding
like
new
what
powers,
6, 8
period.
times?
With all bonds channeling light into his scent, Dalen could actually smell emotion. Such discoveries like this only propelled Dalen to find out more. The last time Dalen enhanced his hearing, it hadn't gone so well, but now with no winds rushing past him, it should work better. One bond doubled the volume of every sound around, the wind passing through the trees, the cracking of the branches, the soft breathing of some animals behind a tree. Why do you keep mentioning trees? Dalen focused on the sound as he did. Every other sound faded, to the point that the soft breathing became clear and distinct. A canine-like panting, he discovered. One of those wild dogs Tygo had mentioned. The clarity was amazing. Great. Dalen picked up a stone and threw it at the tree the dog was hiding behind. The crack spooked the thing, and it scampered away. It was nothing to worry about unless it was part of a pack, and then only if they were particularly hungry. Dalen could hear everything around him, the footsteps of an ant at his feet, Oh, so that's what happened to Ant. The soft voices of Tygo and Luciana several kilometers away. Jesus Christ. Dalen focused on them, and their voices became as clear as if they were speaking right next to him. Judging by the moans of pleasure, he heard the couple were in the middle of their cleansing ordinance.
What?
Now he's eavesdropping on.
A reminder to everybody in chat and everybody listening to this.
So not only is this man literally a government spy drone, he's also listening in on that couple going at it.
I was going to say,
Oh my god.
it took both Superman and Matt Murdock literal years to get around the amount of information they can hear.
Yeah, this is like
taking
disgustingly
seconds.
overpowered. Like, and he's already there. Like,
He's functionally
emphasis
that
on the
high
word
up.
disgusting.
wait, is Dalen supposed to be discount Superman? Don't insult Superman, but put him in the same sentence.
Anyone else reminded of Kyle Rayner's Green Lantern with all the different emotions just
I'm gonna
being
stop you right
thrown
there.
really
Please
low?
keep Kyle Rayner's name out of your mouth. Kyle Rayner is him.
Wasn't he the
I'm
fridge
not
guy?
saying he isn't.
Good.
I'm just saying all these different emotions being
I would
meshed into
normally
one
find it
character.
humorous that a character that has a super sense overhears something that they're not supposed to, like two characters going at it. Like, I typically find stuff like that kind of funny. But this is just he is so grossly overpowered, he might as well just be a god at this point.
Have you ever looked into Expedition 33, by the way, Celtic?
Oh yeah, I've been watching
Yeah,
them.
I know what you're talking about.
There's literally a bit in the very beginning where if you go up to a door, you can literally overhear people going at it. And if you keep like pressing the interact, they eventually say, "All right, you've been listening for long enough."
The opening of that game is so fun.
What?
I like
Really,
the trash
it's
can.
sad.
The fuck?
Wait a second.
A trash can guy
So
was
you
my
spam
favorite.
until like the game admits. You spam the interact button until the game admits. Okay, these characters are like.
They give you an item
exhibitionists.
for it.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
They do, yeah.
T90A got me. Oh, that's a shame.
Imagine
Well, it will. First off, Neptune is a T90A. I completely understand.
What's the item?
Also, a quick question. Would you prefer I save the teddy bear paladin war bits for the Jack streams? Sorry.
Jack streams. It seems more fitting.
Okay. All right. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay, that's a mental image I didn't need. Dalen released his bonds and channeled one into his mass to make himself lighter. This first reduction was far greater than just having his weight. Using two bonds seemed to make him weigh nothing at all, for as soon as the wind picked up, he was picked up literally. Then a strong gust of wind blew past him, launching him into the air, where he flew a good 10 meters, flailing uselessly before his clothing pulled him back down and he crashed into the ground. What?
What bang?
How does that work?
Yeah.
It just does.
All right, you know what? Okay, as he's still stupid overpowered, but I'm gonna count this as him getting humbled.
Guys, no. Give it a
That shit
second.
about the
I
float.
think
That shit
this
about
is
the floating
Dalen
reminds me of the
returned-
I'm
bear.
not over here.
Dalen returned his weight to normal. Okay, that was weird. And with only 2 bonds, 4 bonds might be dangerous and stupid. Dalen smiled to himself. Then it's a good thing I'm stupid. He ran to a wide tree to use as a windshield and channeled 2 bonds, reducing his mass. He then channeled a 3rd and nothing happened. Dalen shrugged and added the 4th. His clothes fell off. No,
Give it a
his
second.
clothes fell through him, and he was standing completely naked, half translucent. He was literally see-through. Walking forward, Dalen
What the
raised
fuck?
his hands before staring at them in shock. This is
I
very, very
forgot
weird.
how messed up this book is.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah, no shit.
I
No shit.
honestly-
On top of him being discount Superman, he's also discount Martian Manhunter.
No, he's discount Danny Phantom.
Slap this guy.
He's season 3 Danny Phantom. Badly written.
Disrespectful to all of them.
It
Mhm.
is, but like honestly, we're grasping at anything we can compare this to.
Don't worry,
Oh.
guys. It'll get better in a second.
Oh,
Keep
shut
going,
up,
Celtic.
Shut up. Shut
I
up.
don't believe you.
Keep going. Keep going.
No, trust, it really is.
Okay, all
Understand.
right, guys.
I want to
all
hear
right.
you read this.
Guys.
Calm it down. Walking forward, Dalen raised his hands before staring at them in shock. This is very, very weird. Dalen noticed his feet sinking into the ground. No depressions were being made. They were just disappearing into the ground. What? Dalen screamed, releasing his bonds. And then his feet exploded. His feet literally exploded. A force hit him with such strength that it blew off the rest of his legs. Dirt, blood, flesh, and bone flew in every direction. The rest of Dalen was launched head over heels. Well, his heels were gone, but he spun several times through the air regardless, butt naked and legless, before crashing to the ground screaming in pain. Without even willing it, Dalen's body sucked in light like he was a drowning man gasping for air and channeled it through every bond inside him towards healing. Dalen groaned in horror at seeing nothing but bloody stumps past his hips, but his fears were replaced with morbid amazement as he watched his legs slowly grow back. It took several minutes for Dalen to find his voice. Now that's a sight, and it answers my question about regrowing limbs. I fucking hate this.
Okay.
I
need to take a lap.
Bro.
I need to take a lap.
we
So,
got to this.
no clip.
Oh my God.
Fragged the. Alright, I need to take a lap. So this man, no clipped, telefragged the dirt, and then just regrowed his legs.
Yep. He just shrugs off his legs getting exploded.
You know, I think I found a good idea now, or not analogy. I don't know. I was gonna say it kind of reminds me of those like choose your own power little on things online.
Izanagi, Nani the fuck is this? Why is this a thing? Why did Shad have to write this? And why he made Dalen so nonchalant? No, legitimately, this is an interesting idea for a power set going horribly wrong during the learning process and then just completely undercutting it. Quite literally cutting the legs out from under it.
Well,
Yeah, it would have been real nice if we had this, like, 2 chapters ago.
Or, in any combination that wasn't, it answers my question, I'm going to be happy about my legs getting blown off. Oh, to clarify, I think he says it leaves a 4-meter crater in the ground.
Yep.
What?
Wow.
Jesus
Yep.
Christ.
So
he can literally cause, earth-shattering explosions by sticking his limbs into things.
You just have to keep going.
Okay,
Don't
how
worry,
much
we'll get
TNT
there.
is that?
To be fair, it's kind of balanced. Doesn't he have to lose the limb in order to do that?
It took
Maybe
10
you
minutes
guys
for
an
his
idea in
legs to grow
American
back
unit, that's
completely.
13
Once
feet.
they
Shush.
had, Dalen wiggled his new toes. Okay, reducing mass past 2 bonds is bad. Very bad. Dalen stood and looked at where his feet had exploded. There was a crater in the ground about 4 meters in diameter, dirt and flesh flung all around it. Wow, he said, and then he began to laugh. This is just too good. Having his feet blown off wasn't at all shocking to him. He had lived too long and seen too much to be shocked by blood or injury. That's not how this works.
That's not how that's not how shock works.
Okay, that is not a good thing. That is like 40 fucking red flags.
Dugox points out he got naked twice already for reasons. Yes.
Dalen's a sociopath.
I've seen ecchi plots that have a better explanation to get naked than this.
Just another day in the office, am I right?
Dalen walked to his clothes and shook off the countless little clumps of dirt and flesh that covered them, wondering at the specifics of what had just happened. It was like he had lost physical interaction. Was what had happened when what had happened when mass was all but disappeared? When mass all but disappeared. Okay, that's a weird sentence. Dalen could guess why his feet had exploded when he had released his bonds. Matter couldn't occupy the same location as other matter. That's a very advanced scientific concept. Well, I was right. That was stupid, he said and pulled on his pants. Having finished dressing, he walked back to the road. So that was reducing my mass, but how heavy can I make myself? The first bond increased his weight far more than just double. Like everything else, each subsequent bond seemed to double the previous enhancement. At full, he hard-packed the road, couldn't support his weight, and he sunk up to his ankles. Light. He had missed doing in-depth research like this. It reminded him of the months he had spent studying the device he had discovered at the center of the floating isles. The what? I guess we're just going to leave that as a plot thread to pick up later.
Okay, some sort of magic MacGuffin that keeps the whole world afloat.
Possibly.
And we're just walking past that. Cool, fuck you.
I better hold off making myself this heavier when I'm softer ground, Dalen said, looking at his sunken feet. He must have weighed over 5 tons. Dalen released his bonds and stepped out of the holes his feet had made. The more he delved into how his powers worked, the more he figured it out. Still, Dalen had seen Archknights cast lightning from their hands and control the wind. Maybe he could do such things, and maybe he couldn't. The only way he could find out was to keep testing. Putting on his boots and standing, Dalen clapped his hands together and rubbed them back and forth, smiling in delight. All right, what's next? I fucking hate this, man.
I think he should
This
just
is
get
partially
an
why I tried
Yeah.
forgetting all about this book.
I'm
Anyone wanna
glad
guess
we're in
what his-
agreement. This is garbage.
I want to forget about this book right fucking now.
All right. What
Seriously, does anybody have the hotline to the Men in Black? I need the memory eraser right fucking now.
Your boy Neptune says brain rot in book form. Accurate.
They won't return my calls.
Well, sorry,
Well,
I
I
can't get you in touch with them.
Sticking at
Is
your
it my turn?
slut.
Yep, you're up chapter 6.
Sticking at your life
Okay.
for the Rizzler.
None but those who lived through the fourth night know how hopeless it was. I can only assume the previous nights were the same. But as they lasted much longer, I can't imagine how mankind survived. Without the Lightbringers and Arknights, everyone would have been lost.
These fucking blurbs.
Getting
before the
real
chapter-
tired of Shad teasing this plot point.
What were you saying, Raymond?
These blurbs are pointless. They're not doing anything.
Have you read any Brandon Sanderson books?
I started reading Mistborn and got immediately bored and lost in the first chapter and put it down.
Perfectly fair.
Dalen spent the next hour getting used to his powers until they were drained. Well, that ends that, he said, turning to the road. Seems like I can maintain an hour of full channeling with all bonds. He most certainly wasn't going to try to heal his fatigue channeling ability again, what with how it went last time. Don't bond the power to itself. It took several more hours of walking before he arrived at the next town. There he caught a sky coach to the nearest city, a fare taking his last coin. By necessity, sky coaches were built differently to their wheel-bound cousins, as they required a darkstone core and directional drivers, as with a larger skyship. The coach he flew was of a less common design, where the cabin was affixed underneath the core. This made boarding the small ship easier, because when it was grounded, the entrance was a single step up. Coaches that had their cores underneath required a gangplank to fold downstairs. Dalen arrived at the city of Leborn at the end of Lowfall, tired and hungry. The day was distinctly Frasian, the city was distinctly Frasian, where the buildings were either plastered white or made of lighter shades of brick and stone, casting the buildings in hues of cream and pale brown, a byproduct of Frey's warmer climate. They all had flat-tiled roofs. So, Mexico? Spain?
Well, I have a question on this. How does, if the sun never sets, how do you have a different climate like this?
That's a very good question.
It's the difference between heights.
Part of it's further away from the sun.
I can't put a pin in that. I've
Earlier
read.
it said that the lower you are, the
Yeah.
denser the oxygen, so the hotter it is. So that's what I'm basing it off of.
The sun
But they
is
said
actually
earlier-
just physically closer to this location.
Despite the fact that it's supposed to be in another universe altogether.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, you know the angry sun from Super Mario Brothers 3?
It just swoops.
Yeah.
It's that.
I was imagining the
Okay.
sun from Chowder, honestly.
Do not besmirch
Yeah.
the boy's
Now you
name.
take the sun.
Or the sun that screams from Rick and Morty.
Choose one.
That works too.
Streets were paved in distinctive Frasian pale brown stone, and they often bordered retaining walls, setting the city into different elevations through the hilly region where it was located. With no money to purchase food, Dalen walked a decent way from the main station where the coach had docked and found a clean enough alley to sleep in. The alley was much colder, being in the shade of 2 buildings. Oh no! If he sleeps in there, he'll turn into a shade! Because that's how that works, remember?
No, it isn't.
I completely fucking forgot. Your boy Neptune, the sun isn't real. I mean, that might be true.
You believe in the sun?
For all we know, it's going to turn out the Dark Lord Gwendolyn that's been lording over the fucking sun this entire time.
Whoa, man.
Don't insult Gwen like that. I was gonna say, if you can insult Gwen for a lot of things.
No, Gwendolyn, the son / daughter.
You know, I can sure say the turtle is lapping the pace of this.
Oh no! I mean, you can't say Gwendolyn can't say anything. He / she / them are currently getting their ass eaten. Sorry.
Let's move on. Thank you. But not so much to be prohibited. As long as it didn't rain, he should be fine. But he had ruled the Dawn Empire, where there had been thousands of people who wanted him dead, so Dalen had trained himself to sleep very lightly. He wouldn't rouse from the wind or other natural noises, but the slightest hint of a footstep or breathing would wake him instantly. Doing so saved his life many times, and living in hiding for the latter part of his life had only served to encourage the practice. It didn't take him long to fall asleep, but a few hours later he was awoken by the sound of someone approaching. No, they weren't approaching. They had already approached and were looming over him, dagger in hand. Well, so much for your ability to wake up at the slightest noise approaching you. Dalen's hand shot up on reflex, grabbing the man's wrist, and he tried to slit Dalen's throat. He was a dirty beggar, obviously intending to loot Dalen's corpse, and he was strong. The beggar pushed all of his weight down on Dalen, the dagger now pointed to Dalen's heart. Dalen struggled against the man's weight, the dagger falling centimeter by centimeter, strength against strength, which wasn't working, so Dalen twisted the man's wrist and brought his knee up, knocking the man off. He stumbled to regain his footing. Dalen took the brief opportunity to get to his feet and draw his sword. With that, the man was already defeated. Before the wretch could do anything, in a quick flash of steel, Dalen took the man's hand cleanly off. He screamed, falling to his knees, his uninjured hand grasping at a bleeding stump.
Wow, so impressive.
Mm-hmm. Rage burned inside Dalen as hot as he had trained it to, 80 years of conditioning snapping into action, channeling the rage and using it to strengthen his resolve. You Dalus son of a shade, Dalen hissed. The man tried to get to his feet and run, but as he did, Dalen slashed the tendons behind his knees. He screamed again and fell. Try to slit my throat and rob me! Me! I've conquered nations, and you think a dagger from the likes of you will be my end? The man dragged himself along the ground, whimpering and trying to get away. Dalen thrust his sword through the beggar's back, purposefully avoiding vital organs. The man screamed. Dalen pulled the sword free and walked in pace with the struggling Sunspot. As the man gasped at the open wound in his chest, he tried to get to his feet once more. Dalen sliced off the beggar's uninjured arm with a large swing. The vagabond's horrified screams brought a measure of satisfaction to Dalen, but his punishment wasn't done. He was still breathing. Dalen grasped the man. Dalen grasped the man by his hair and, hefting him up, growled in fury and cut off his head. Dalen then took up the man's dagger and screamed again, bashed the man's decapitated head against the wall of the alley before thrusting the dagger through the eye, pinning the head to the wall as a sign of what became of people who dared to try to kill Dalus the Conqueror.
What the actual hell?
What are you? An absolute monster or someone trying to redeem themselves? Pick a lane!
Okay. Alright, in other words, we got chafed. He didn't change a damn bit.
You don't say.
I'm not convinced this man didn't just go for the past 30 years.
I'm just pointing out Dead Rex's art.
Yep, Delrex's art is great, and I'm with Moopa right here. You guys are going like, wow, this is really, really bad. Put a pin in that.
Keep putting pins, man.
Might I just quickly add, I'm not convinced this man, for the past 30 years, has not just been telling literally all of his neighbors that he is Dalus the Conqueror, given just how fucking little it takes for him to go off about it.
Yeah, quite literally, I don't know how this
He
man
has
ever
ego
stayed
the size
kept a
of the
low
sun.
profile. He is always bragging about who the fuck he is.
He's had it like locked up for the past 30 years, and then it's just a floodgate opening.
I
That
just realized
reminded
something.
me. That reminded me of when that beggar tried to rob Iroh for some reason.
Oh yeah, it's because that scene was done infinitely better with an infinitely more compelling and remorseful character who actually had a tragic backstory that led him to actually redeem himself in many regards for the horrible things he had committed. Reminder, Iroh was a war criminal, and he actually did manage to redeem himself by the end.
He literally betrayed his own country to make himself redeemed in his own eyes.
Wait, we talking about Uncle Iroh from Avatar, right?
Yes, obviously.
Yeah? Are there any other ideas out there?
With the beggar now dead, the punishment served, Dalen's rage began to melt away, and he leaned against the other wall of the alley. Footsteps caused Dalen to notice a young man peeking down the alleyway, obviously attracted to the screens. Dalen glared at him, and the man bolted. Staring after the man.
Your boy Neptune says 500 pins. It sounds like a cactar attack.
Yeah.
600 pins under my command.
Damn.
600 pins under my command.
Staring after the man for a little while, Dalen shook his head and looked back to the alley, truly seeing it for what it was. It was a massacre. Dalen suddenly realized what he had done. He had not just defended himself. He had not just killed a man. He had butchered him. Horror overwhelmed Dalen as the reality finally settled into his mind. No, Dalen said in dismay as tears came to his eyes. No, I don't want to be like this anymore. Not anymore. Dalen sweat and
shit ass.
Shut up!
Oh my god, I am so sorry.
Alexa, play Despacito. This is so sad.
Dalen,
Damn.
just pick a lane! Do something other than constantly berating yourself, you absolute
Moopa is right.
moron!
Let Twilight read Uninterrupted. The scene is beautiful.
Sorry.
Dalen wept as he slumped against the wall and slowly slid down to lay there, crying. He had set out to be a better person, but it had only taken the length of 2 falls to prove that he was in every way the same man he had been. A violent, merciless killer. Voices of alarm sounded from down the alleyway. The authorities were finally on their way. Dalen dragged himself to his feet, breathing in deeply, and ran away.
That scene, no shit, reminded me of just a slightly better written version of something we would see from, I don't know, Reichiro Ketsuneki Oni. Like, it fucking, like, gives me all the exact same feelings of, like, the immediate remorse that they have that just makes absolutely, like, bipolar sense.
Sky
Why do you think I started using Reichiru's voice for Dalen?
Yeah.
And the same mic, too.
Oh, no.
Accidentally unplugged my mic.
Dalen, that is what we call an upsy daisy. You mean an oopsie doozy?
I did an oopsie.
I did some warlord type shit. Oh no, woe is me.
I mean, literally, you could have just stopped at cutting off the hand.
No, he couldn't have.
There was no reason for him to go
You
any
fool.
further.
Is it possible to undo
here's
a
a
book,
better-
specifically someone else's?
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I have a better idea. Or just let him stab your shit, because as we've established, you are literally invincible. Just like let him like shank you in the chest, get up calmly, then pull it out, heal, and he'll freak the fuck out and run the other way. It's
in his
foolproof.
defense.
That would have been.
I feel like that would have been unwise.
Yeah. Also, we should probably move on now.
Yes.
Dalen made his way to the other end of Leborn and found himself in a broad, open main street with crowds of people walking to the other side. Carts, wagons, carriages, and coaches were all driving down the middle, storefront and food stalls framing the sides. Dalen's stomach growled with the smells of the food and stalls, but he ignored it. Light, he was a fool. He shouldn't have expected anything else from sleeping in the city's alleyway. Perhaps living as a hermit for 20 years had dulled his wits. He wanted to be alone and wished that he could fly up to one of the city's buildings' roofs. He liked high places and commanding views, especially when thinking. Hang on! Of course I can get up there! My powers! Dalen had utterly forgotten about his powers. Even when he was attacked, he hadn't thought to use them. That wasn't a surprise. Using them hadn't come naturally to him yet.
What about the instincts they supposedly inculcated into you, you dumb shit? You forgot about that.
We are watching this getting we are watching shit getting retconned in the same fucking paragraph.
Isa points out this is basically just a fanfic that got self-published. God, Shad probably wouldn't handle the changes publishers would force. No, you understand, like 90% of shit that gets published is like this. Like this, what's sad about this is like this is indicative of just a lot of crap that's out there. It's just that Shad just has a higher profile to be noticed.
Yep. Dalen sighed and turned down one of the alleyways, paved with brick. It was wide enough for carts to pass through so they could load and unload goods, and the tall buildings on either side cast it in soft shadow. From there, Dalen found an even narrower alley that ran behind one of the storefronts. Dalen wondered at how he could employ his powers to reach the roof. Could he make himself lighter and climb? Dalen placed his hand against the brick wall to test the finger holds. Not enough grip. But grip is a quality of my physical body. Dalen tried to draw in light, but only found a trickle. It was like dragging something very heavy along the ground. The shadows, Dalen said, remembering when he had tried to channel in Luciana's barn. The world was usually so full of light that Dalen had taken for granted that he would always be able to use his powers, but clearly in shadow, and of course in darkness, he wouldn't. He should have realized this, for he had seen the Arknights fight through the fourth night, and how they had relied on sunstones and lightbringers to fuel their powers in such darkness. Luckily, there was still enough light in the alley to forge one bond. He channeled it into his grip. As he touched the wall, it was like his hand was covered in glue. It resisted all but the strongest of pulls to come off, and that was with only one bond. Dalen looked up the wall and tried to make another bond to his weight, but couldn't. There simply wasn't enough light. Still, with his grip enhanced so much that he was able to climb up the wall like a spider, and interestingly, his feet were affected the same as his hands, even through the sole of his shoes.
You could say he was a kind of man spider of some sort.
No.
No.
God, genius.
He shall call himself
He's
Arachninoid.
Not the
Oh, no.
I figured on the trigger of the sniper rifle right there.
Don't say I went as Spider-Man. I didn't go with Spider-Man. I went
Yugok
as
says,
Man Spider.
So far as
Totally
everyone
different.
around knows, the MC is a Chunbuyo psycho since he's constantly yelling about his greatness while looking like a teenager. Yes, honestly, if they started treating him that way, that would be hilarious.
Great.
Oh my
That would
god,
actually
Snowy
be
Spider.
the story overall. Just treat him like an absolute psycho, and then when people realize he isn't a psycho, they go, "Holy crud!"
The roof was mostly flat-tiled, with countless chimneys sticking up over the cityscape before him. Dalen walked to the low peak of the roof and sat down, thinking. He had just killed a man. Not the first by a day's length, but the first in 20 years. He tried to murder me, Dalen muttered to himself. That was why I didn't hesitate to kill him. But I did more than that. I let my rage take control and tortured the wretch before ending his life. But the beggar probably had murdered many people before trying to kill me. So the scum deserved what I gave to him and more. Dalen looked at his hands. The problem is how easy it was.
No, the problem is you've just fucking justified it to yourself with absolutely zero evidence other than you were getting mugged once. This could have been the guy's first attempt ever.
You could have, like, I don't know, maybe tried to help the guy on a better path. Maybe, like, used all those years of experience to say, like, this road leads nowhere good. I don't know.
Okay, here's a proposed
pin in
alternative
that.
to the scene that we saw. You cut the guy's hand off. Realize how brutal that is because it does disarm him. It's a fair reaction to being woken up and being attacked. It's a fair reaction, but also realizing, oh shit, this guy's arm is off. And it's like, oh. And like maybe taking a moment to actually walk the guy through, maybe try to heal him, maybe try to take care of him, try to befriend him and understand where he's coming from. Tell him you have no money because you don't. Like, you could go through any number of different ways where you could approach this on a, I am better than this now, let me attempt this, and you could still fail in attempting to do it. The guy might run off scared shitless because you just cut off his hand, but you might
Or bleed out!
Yeah, there are several different routes you could have taken, and this was absolutely the worst one if you want us to think this character is redeemable.
Yep.
I mean, he started it.
Spider Dictator does whatever a dictator does.
Hey, man.
God, I'm just so like, oh no, he stole Peter Parker's whole flow. I am so
we
shocked.
shortened his name to Spider Dick.
That was more troubling.
Sorry.
That was more troubling than Dalen could express. If he could fall into a blind rage so quickly, he could do so against a person that didn't deserve it and pervert the purpose of his new life. Dalen had done so in the past, had killed the innocent too many times to count, so he hadn't believed them innocent at the time. In any case, Dalen was certainly capable of such acts. Was this all a mistake? Choosing to hunt out darkness would mean that he would have to kill again, and when that man was willing to kill, he might resort to it when killing wasn't justified. Maybe I should touch the sword again and help people in... Maybe I should never touch a sword again and help people in the little ways I have, tinkering and such.
Remember, everybody, lean back, hold your your hand over your forehead, and just sigh the dramatic irony.
Yep. But that didn't reach a fraction of Dalen's potential. How many grand high masters of the sword were there who were also master tacticians and could wield the power of the Arc-Knights? Dalen had a very unique and specific skill set that would be best employed against the worst and most vile parts of the world. Indeed, there were more of a need for someone to fight for those who couldn't than anything else. There were those who preyed on the defenseless, the innocent, and the weak, and Dalen had great powers to stop such things. Save one person at a time. That was far better for him to face the horrors of the world than to expose the innocent to them. Dalen had faced such before. Light, he'd even caused many. His innocence had been destroyed long ago, and with that there was nothing left that he could lose to another life of violence. So maybe it could be a good thing that killing was still so easy for him. He could do what better men couldn't, be the avenging knife in the dark. That was the greatest and most significant thing that he could do for others, and indeed the skills that he had and the type of man that he was all but demanded it. Dylan's head dropped and his shoulders slumped.
What?
Will I never know peace? He said softly. I've killed so many, and I hate it. But life isn't something I deserve to enjoy. Resolve turned to Dalen's heart. This is what I have to do, but I won't let myself darken the world any more than I have. So I vow upon the light that if I ever kill another innocent, I will kill myself. Dalen looked to the sun. I don't care if you want to punish me. Protecting the world from the Conqueror is more important than my misery. So if you really want me to live, help me. Dalen bowed his head and closed his eyes, speaking fervently from the depths of his heart. Save me from myself!
A reminder to everybody, by the way, he's still on the side of a wall right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
also,
just in an
three
alleyway.
things. Three things. One, your boy Neptune. I'll make up for this violence the only way I know how. With more violence! Secondly, trying to kill yourself was how you got into this fucking mess. And 3, I cannot save you. I can't even save myself.
Hey, just hate this
Like, bro,
so
you know that
much.
sword?
This is just asinine self-aggrandizement, and I fucking hate it.
Oh yeah, his nonstop whinging is giving me a fucking aneurysm.
Hey, bro, you know that sword that you just like cut off a bunch of your arm with and killed some guys with? It don't take that much to just put that in your gut. Like,
I was
you
gonna
could
say,
just do
like,
that.
This dude has just come up with this justification for going on a killing spree now, which is just, it disgusts me how, like, Shad sees this as the only use this character has. Like, I don't mind a character who has done bad being like, well, my biggest skill set is being a bad person, so I might as well use that for the benefit of others. I understand that, but not putting in anything to taper themselves, not realizing that beggar could have been a good person in a bad situation, for example, like him backwards justifying it, like instantaneously, with absolutely no justification.
Remember Celtic, this is the same guy that is responsible for, like, so many of the technological advancements that have happened in this world, and he can't find another way to add to this world and make it better.
Yeah, boy, Neptune, I swear I'll never kill another innocent starting now. Yes.
I also want to point out, like, he's 17 again. He could, like, pick up medicine, do anything. Like, he has a whole new life ahead of him, and he just thinks on defaulting.
I think it's I don't mind if a character has this mentality of like I'm exceptionally skilled in this violent act. I am very well trained in it. But he hasn't done any meaningful self-reflection on just how absolutely horrid he still is. He still thinks that somehow he is justified in what he is doing, as opposed to I need to find a way to actually keep myself in check.
You know what would make this a lot better for everybody and the audience? If we actually knew what snapped him into this whole thing of saying, oh, I'm a really bad person. We haven't gotten that yet.
Yes, if he was like, oh, I accidentally killed the wife that I loved or something like that, and he's like, I have to honor her memory, and I have to remember what I did and what horrible things. If he could cite something like that regularly, something that was a baseline for him to build himself off of, that would actually help a lot. But he's not done any of that, and I don't know why he hasn't. We are 16% of the way through the story, and we don't know what's completely changed our hero's entire life view.
Context, motherfucker. Do you speak it?
One compelling way that it could have been done well is that you could paint him as like he's spent his entire reign both conquering and playing politics, that he's never really like walked among his kingdom, and like now that he's walking among his kingdom and visiting all these lands, you can have him be like just like completely fucked up, like riddled with poverty and corruption, and he can slowly be like, oh, I fucked up bad, I need to fix this. You know what I mean? Because there's always that disconnect between
but remember,
rulers.
Everything was so much better when he was in charge.
Right, and that could have just been like his advisors were just feeding him a load of bullshit. Or, I don't know.
Absolutely. It is impressive how at every turn he has made the wrong choice for how to go about a character like this. This is actually kind of a case study in how not to do this. There was literally one glimmer of hope in the past 2 chapters, and that was a paragraph. That was a single paragraph, and it didn't.
What was the glimmer?
Jack shit. Oh, what was it? I don't even remember what it was now.
Where he was talking to the son, and like he had no right to judge someone else how to live their life.
Judge someone else because like he was like, you don't demand respect, you earn it. But he's like, wait, my entire past life was spent demanding respect through force. And he's like, he actually had a moment of reflection upon that, and it's like, that was bad. It's like, oh, that was like a paragraph of actually compelling moment for a character like this.
Yeah.
I think I know the best
Completely
way to
forgot
describe
about
it. The best way to describe it is it comes off not that Dalen has had like literal decades to come to terms with it. It's like that he was just Dalus the Conqueror, a light switch was flipped, and then he tried to kill himself, and then now he's here. He still has everything else. He hasn't had the decades long reflection.
Oh God, Snow Spider.
God.
Please. Oh boy, there I go killing again.
I just feel
Oh,
like
What?
I just feel like this character kind of just critically lacks empathy. Like, he never really seems to be thinking about the thoughts or feelings of his victims, alive or otherwise.
Doesn't.
No, he doesn't.
So I ask again, like, how has he changed? Because clearly he hasn't.
He hasn't.
That's
at
the
all.
best part.
It's the neat part.
He's younger.
Yeah.
That's a change.
I mean,
He's not even
I mean,
bad.
if you-
He's bullshit is what he is. He's 17 years old with a physique of a 30-year-old somehow.
He's a pillar man.
Average anime
And the
character.
scars of an 80-year-old.
He's a JoJo character.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
you take that the fuck back.
He's a JoJo's
feel like that's
character.
also-
Derogatory.
Damn.
Villain.
That's rude, man.
The creation of the mistake.
If Dalen and this book were competently written, Dalen would be fine to try and redeem. The whole point of the message of anyone can be redeemed is that you try with someone who's the worst of the worst and you show their growth and ability. I mean, hot take. I think I've mentioned this before, but like I had the idea of writing a story from a Hitler-esque character's point of view, going through their rise to power and all the different choices they've needed to make through their governing, and like trying to show basically a devil's advocate for Hitler, because I think it's an interesting writing challenge.
You mean Dune?
Yeah.
I guess I've never fully. I've read the first book, but I've never finished the series.
That's Dune.
It's kind of like
Dude,
the Lorax in that sense. And I mean, like the book, not the movie.
It's like it's an interesting idea to find a character that has committed horrible atrocities like genocide, like rape and slaughter, and try to find redeeming aspects of them. Like, okay, maybe there was this like particular famine going on and they needed to sacrifice the crops from farmers. This subject, like kind of like how it happened in Russia and the Ukraine, for example, where the Ukrainian farmers starved and I'm not bringing in modern politics. I'm bringing in like the USSR politic.
Soviet Union.
The Soviet
Well,
Union,
part of
like
that
where
was
they basically stole from a bunch of different farmers around their lesser territories and brought them into the heart of their territory to feed their armies and such. Like that sort of
Well,
stuff.
the thing about the whole Ukraine, or as they call it in Ukraine, the Holodomor or something like that, is it was also based on like
Well, yeah, no,
racial.
it also
was an example.
Yeah, but like as an example, it's like you go into the compounding components that add to it. Like one example, interesting enough, one thing that people don't talk about with Hitler is that his subjugation of the Jewish populace, that the Jewish populace had many of the most affluent members of the society. So admittedly, there was a lot of anti-Semitism, but another factor of it that people kind of ignore is that he used the subjugation of them to steal their wealth in order to fund his war effort. It's one of those things that kind of gets glossed over in light of the more racial
Holocaust
things and like the Holocaust. But like it's one of those factors you can't forget about because it's fundamental in shaping things.
Yeah,
It's also something that has been a factor for like many centuries, because even hundreds of years before then, there's now a field of study looking into the Blood Countess.
Cool.
And how like she is known as like a vampiress who murdered hundreds of virgins so that she can bathe in their blood. But they're thinking that that was actually propaganda because she was the wealthiest woman in the kingdom, wealthier than even the king himself. And she was a land-owning woman after her husband died.
Elizabeth Bathory,
And so
by the way.
Yes, Elizabeth Bathory. She had so many enemies. And so what did they suspect that they did? They took what was effectively new emerging scientific and medical practices for healing the sick, which were very bloody and horrifying to look at from the outside perspective, and blamed her for murders so that they could accuse her of insanity, lock her up for 3 years, and take all of her money and her wealth for themselves.
That's despicable.
Damn. So
It's
you
a,
make some.
And,
you
for
make
the
up a
record-
conspiracy.
I was about to make a
And
joke.
once
This
again,
is what
the
happened to
mind
J.K.
must
Rowling.
fly
But anyway,
history
Oh Jesus!
There are. This is
But I mean,
the
the thing is, but I mean, yeah, you're right. And there is, and if Shad was a better writer or indeed a better researcher, he would be able to like delve into like all the different subtleties of how someone like Dalen would actually come into power and how he would eventually be deposed or killed or driven into exile or something like that. But the problem is, Shad just isn't good enough at it. You know?
No,
It's such a rich premise, and it's going completely untouched.
The thing that really, the thing that really gets me is that it has all the subtlety of a sledgehammer combined with a rocket propellant.
Mm-hmm.
Like
a rocket sledge, basically.
Can I also can I just take a moment to talk about this book's fucking god awful pace? Like,
yeah,
we could have skipped like
we're
the
not
past
even
3 chapters.
Like, I want to make it clear. I don't even think we're at the main plot yet.
Nope.
Like,
We're not. No.
It doesn't
No, you
lie.
are not.
No, we are not. You want to know how I know that?
Get on with it.
You want to know how I know that we're not at the main plot? 2 words. No villains.
No.
Seriously.
Okay, all right. Pull that back. That's a very basic concept. That's not true. Like, if he had actually set out and been like, okay, my goal is to do X, and actually started working towards it, we would have something. But his goal is so nebulous, just be a better person so far.
You heard him. I'll join the Arc Knights when I want to.
Great.
I know,
So
I know nothing, so I may ask a question. Are we still not at the point where he does the thing in that one piece I'm withholding for now?
No.
God fucking damn it.
I think we're maybe a
My question is
chapter or so away.
You said that chapters ago.
I forget this, man.
Yeah.
Well, we have
You remember this book?
we have done like a chapter and a half now. So
Are we there yet?
But yeah, no, this is overall just it is such a weakly written book.
We haven't met the best character. That is true.
Is it Toby?
No.
Damn it.
Shame. Toby actually would make this book so much better.
Yes.
Honestly, a Finn would make this really, like, a genuinely just good-natured young kid and just being like, oh, gee willikers, Mr. Dalen, what are we going to do tonight? And it's like, Dalen's like, we're going to brood. And he's like, oh, that sounds fun, but can we do it with donuts? And it's like, we can have donuts. Like, that would actually be kind of fun.
Speaking of donuts,
that is like that's more than just fun. That is an absolute banger buddy cop duo.
I mean, it's what makes Doom entertaining when he gets caught. Like, there's a whole thing where he has Mr. Fantastic's daughter, and he's just like, "I'm going to do all these things," and he goes like, "Hey, can I have ice cream?" And it's like, Doom will consider this. And literally,
your request.
literally the next panel, he's continuing to do his dictator stuff. She's got ice cream in the background.
Dr. Doom may be an evil man, but all children get a good night's sleep in Latveria.
Child is also the only thing he actually loves, mind you.
Bro,
that's another thing. It's such a navel gazing story. Like it there's no the humor in it is empty. Like I really wish that there was just some more like a Doofenshmirtz.
I mean, the last time that Shad tried to go into the comedy, he threw out the R word like it was running out of style.
I say, how do you feel about the idea of Dalen being hesitant to punish someone that might actually deserve it because they weren't as bad as he was in his conquering days? Well, we just saw that he was willing to justify his absolute torture and slaughter of a fucking random beggar that tried to stab him.
sliced off his arm, sliced the back of his knees, then kept
Stabbed him
stabbing
multiple
until there was
times.
Which
And then I stabbed him
those
37 times in the
were
chest.
non-lethal, purposely. All of said impaling was purposely non-lethal.
Dylan.
Wait, guys.
To
you
a
don't
Celtic
understand.
comment.
Off his head
He
and
was
pinned it to the
he was
wall.
trying to do a combo.
Yugok says he thought he was just as a dictator, so what the fuck has this come to Jesus moment? We didn't get any of that. True. And your boy Neptune says sledgehammer with a rocket motor. Yeah. Yes, the Losat.
Ah, yes, the Lasset.
Anyway, I think that's all for tonight. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you had a good time. We squeezed a lot out of the conversation of these 2 chapters.
We did.
That was a solid 2 chapters to read. I hope you all enjoyed. I hope you'll join us next week. Don't forget, we have Team Jacked on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. And Fixing Ruby Volume 7 begins next week. I hope you're all ready for it.
We outlast
Finally.
the show!
Good
Let's
content.
go!
And we'll catch you all on the flip side.
I hate
Bye.
this.